The night was heavy with silence inside the Oval Office. The lamps threw warm pools of light across the polished desk, but the man sitting there was not at ease. He was not yet president, but in only a few days, the oath would be his to take. His name was David Harrington, a man who had risen from small-town roots, carrying with him the memory of his father's hardware shop and his mother's late-night shifts at a local hospital. He was about to inherit the most powerful office in the world, and yet he felt small, just another human, facing a mountain too tall to climb. On his desk lay a leather-bound book sent by a mentor, with a note attached in Anthony Scaramucci's handwriting. This is not for policy, but for perspective. Read carefully. Inside were transcripts of conversations between thinkers, leaders, and historians, among them Steve Coll, who had studied the weight of decisions that shaped nations. The book was titled, Advice to Future Presidents. David leaned back in his chair, the soft ticking of the clock filling the room. He opened to the first page. The first word struck him like a bell: do not mistake power for wisdom. You are surrounded by people who will tell you what you want to hear. Seek instead those who risk telling you what you need to hear. He thought of his campaign, of the endless advisors who had shielded him from criticism, feeding him carefully polished lines. He remembered his wife, Emily, often the only one brave enough to pierce through the noise with a sharp, simple truth: David, don't forget who you are. As he read on, the story of past presidencies unfolded, not the official histories, but the untold struggles. Steve Coll had written about leaders who had faltered under the weight of ego, and others who had endured because they leaned on humility. David felt as if the book was not history at all, but a mirror, showing him what he might become. One passage told the story of a young president during a time of war. He had been pushed by generals, pressed by advisors, all urging a show of force. But late at night, the president slipped into the hospital to sit beside wounded soldiers. He looked into their eyes and asked himself, what is victory worth, if it costs us our soul? That president resisted the drums of war, and though his critics labeled him weak, history later remembered him as strong, the kind of strong that saves lives instead of spending them. David closed the book for a moment. His hands trembled. He knew in his heart that the days ahead would test him, not just in matters of policy, but in moments where he would stand alone, where the right choice would be the unpopular one. He whispered to himself, do not mistake power for wisdom. But the book did not stop with cautionary tales. It carried voices of encouragement too, stories of presidents who found courage in unlikely places. One section, attributed to Scaramucci, spoke about the